They were there immediately. What detectives have determined happened was there was a car with 3 people in it, a 20-year-old man, a 20-year-old woman, and the couple's 16-month-old boy in the back seat. Somebody or somebodies came up to that vehicle, opened fire on them, and then fled on foot. The driver of the car, the 20-year-old man, immediately drove the wounded woman and the child to a nearby hospital. So while that happened, officers had secured the scene. They were also dispatched to the hospital along with our detectives and crime scene investigators. So an investigation immediately began and carried out into the evening on the scene and also at those locations. What we know is this was not a random act, so there is no threat to the neighborhood per se. This was targeted. Our detectives are not releasing the particulars as to how or why any of these people might have been targeted at this time. That's all part of the ongoing investigation. But this is a very active, ongoing investigation. Just around 7 o'clock Friday morning, tragically, the 16-month-old baby died at the hospital after undergoing surgery overnight, was in critical condition. That baby was transferred from the hospital where he was taken by private car to the trauma center. So despite futile attempts to try and save that baby's life, he passed away Friday morning. Upon hearing of that, Chief Frank Adderley has announced a $10,000 reward for anyone providing information that leads to an arrest and conviction of the person or persons who killed this baby.
How many shots were fired?
Detectives aren't releasing how many shots were fired. That's all part of the ongoing investigation. We know that the baby was struck and the mother, the 20-year-old, suffered a graze wound. She was treated and released from the hospital. She was in good condition.
There are cameras right where it happened that were placed by the city. Is that video already being analyzed?
Detectives are looking at all different components of evidence, whether it was on-scene evidence, whether there was video available. All of that is being taken into consideration as part of the investigation. We're not releasing that, obviously, at this time because of the evidentiary value of that, but any video that may exist will become part of the investigation.
What kind of weapon was it?
The detectives are not releasing the weapon or weapons that might have been used in this attack.
How do you feel about this incident?
It's not about how I feel, it's about that our detectives are determined to find the person or persons responsible for the killing of an innocent 16-month-old baby. I can't describe how a family would feel or the anguish they may feel losing a child. You know, when there's a homicide or somebody dies, that's traumatic enough, but I can't even imagine, no words can describe what that family must be going through.
In this area happened, this was in 4th Street and Douglas Avenue. This is a similar area where there was some gang activity. Does this any in connection with the 4th Street gang? There was a big drug bust there about 2 months ago you guys did in February. Does that have any connection with this?
Beyond that, there was a drug and gun bust of the 4th Street gang that was done a couple months ago. Any connections to the investigation, that will all be part of what detectives would keep close to the vest right now as part of the investigation. So that would be just speculation at this point. Again, this was not a random attack. These people or someone in the vehicle was targeted, and detectives are determined to work all leads and bring the people responsible to justice.
No suspect description at this time?
At the present time, detectives aren't releasing any suspect description. What I can tell you is the people involved, the man and woman that were in the car, the victims, have been cooperating with detectives and cooperating with the investigation.
Was the baby's father the intended target?
Whether or not the baby's father was the intended target, detectives have not provided any information alluding to that. But what we can tell you is this was not a random incident.
And what was the motive for the shooting?
The motive is still part of the investigation. Detectives are not releasing that at the present time.
How many homicides does this make for you in West Palm Beach this year?
I believe from the beginning of the year, this would be number 4, if I'm not mistaken. The first one was a woman that fell from the Royal Park Bridge. And then there were 2 subsequent shooting homicides. And then there was an additional homicide, but that was not a shooting. So I believe this is the 4th homicide for the year.
The boyfriend, the father of the baby, he wasn't struck by any of the bullets then.
The 20-year-old man who was the father of the baby was not injured at all. I'd just like to add that anyone with information about this case, you can call the West Palm Beach Police Department and be eligible for the $10,000 cash. Anyone with information about this case can call the West Palm Beach Police Department and be eligible to earn the $10,000 reward that Chief Adderley announced on Friday. We need to know who's calling, and we need your information on that. If you want to remain anonymous, you can call Crime Stoppers of Palm Beach County, remain anonymous, and be eligible for a cash reward that leads to an arrest of up to $3,000. So there are two options here. Obviously, we want someone to come forward and give us some information that will help us in getting whoever did this off the street. Okay?
Thank you.
Thanks.